Welcome back to the Sentinel Report, folks. Donald Trump has been making some noise about Lindsey Graham, who at least publicly presents himself as Mr. MAGA. I love Trump. I love America. I love the Constitution. But he never met a war that he didn't want your kids to go die in. Not him, but your kids. Trump apparently has had enough. He just put out a very interesting little video warning Lindsey Graham and also Mike Pompeo about, this exact kind of warmongering. Let's play this, and we're going to get his opponent in just a moment.
And what's been right about that?
ICE.
Ukraine, you've been making progress towards a peace deal, but I don't know if you know this, but Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo were there on the ground in Ukraine, seemingly doing the opposite, trying to provoke the Ukrainians to keep fighting. What do you think of that?
Well, we're going to see, and people have to be very careful with what they say. They're going to be very careful with their mouth, because their mouth can get them into a lot of trouble.
Warning directly to Senator Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo. Joining us now to discuss all this and more is the man challenging Lindsey Graham for that Senate seat. His name is Mark Lynch. Back in the 70s, Lynch, the president of Jeff Lynch Appliance Center, his dad sold appliances, done a lot of work. And today, Mark's journey is quite a bit different. So he's guided by his faith, and he is now running for that U.S. Senate seat. And as I understand from folks in South Carolina, has a very real chance of actually winning this election. He's been married for 37 years. He's got children, grandchildren. He's got 110 exceptional employees. He's an ordained deacon at the Burnsview Baptist Church in Greer, South Carolina. Mark, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for having me on today.
It's an honor to have you, sir. And I know you've been doing the rounds. I saw you on some really big broadcasts recently. Talk to us about Lindsey Graham. Why did you decide to jump into this race and challenge really a very well-established career politician?
Yep. It all started back in, I guess, 2014 when I was trained in intelligence in our country, fighting the Islamic terrorist threat at the local level, and working with those gentlemen that helped lead that at the Anti-Terrorism Division of the FBI. And I was asked to run in 2020 for a state Senate seat. I almost won. I lost by 5%. And people got to know me, know my stance on things, and that I'll hold the line and not compromise. And they appreciated my leadership ability and asked me to run for office. And we've been praying about it these last 4 years. And here we are. God called us to this new adventure and mission trip in Washington to go to the swamp, and we said yes. We've accepted the opportunity.
Yeah, well, praise the Lord. It's really, in my opinion, past time for somebody to challenge this guy. If you look at his Freedom Index score, it's literally a 57%, folks. That's a failing grade. If you're not familiar with the Freedom Index, it's something we produce at the New American Magazine. We take the constitutional voting record of the different members of Congress, all of them, and 100 is a perfect constitutional score. A 0 is a perfect anti-constitutional score. Lindsey Graham is one of the worst Republicans. He's literally got a failing grade, and this coming from one of the most conservative states in the union. Talk to us about your views on the Constitution and Lindsey Graham's voting record. I mean, what do you think about his voting record? Is this part of what motivated you to get involved?
Yes, we've, after my state Senate race, we formed an organization, an activist group, and we've been using the Freedom Index to educate voters in South Carolina. We have a lot of people moving here from other parts of the country, and they're so happy they're in a red state till they see our elected officials' true voting record, and they're astonished. And so that and the other scorecards that you can see across the country, and all four of them, the Heritage Action, Conservative Review, the Liberty Score, he's failing in every one of them. And so he's not really a true Republican. Breitbart contacted us back in March and asked about our campaign. They said, we've never seen Lindsey move to the right this quick in a campaign cycle. And we gave them the article that talked about Obama's chief pollster, Paul Harstad, talking to John Podesta, who was in charge of Pizzagate. Everybody remembers that, with the child sex trafficking ring. And in their internal email correspondence between the two of them, they were identifying Lindsey as the greatest ally they had ever had and would have to the Democrat Party in Obama's campaign. And so that's who he is. He's betrayed the the Republican Party of South Carolina. He's betrayed America, and he's stabbed Donald Trump in the back many times. And you mentioned the Ukraine thing. You know, when he's been going over there working with Zelensky like he's the Secretary of State all of a sudden, that's very dangerous. Trump has been promoting peace in the Ukraine, and Lindsey's promoting war. And he's been uncovered under DOJ investigations with USAID. There's a lot of money he's been handling that looks like he's been getting his hands on it. And everybody knows he's a warmonger. And, you know, when this new war opportunity kind of came out, and are we going to help Israel, and those kind of conversations began weeks ago, Lindsey said, game on. He's all for more war, because his greatest contributors have been Lockheed Martin and Boeing. When you look in his campaign election treasury account, where his donations come from. And he loves starting wars, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And actually, we got a couple clips I want to roll. This is Graham talking to the leader of Ukraine, Zelensky. Let's roll that clip.
I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally.
Yeah, I mean, the guy talks like he's like the president of the United States. Like, you're my ally.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? You're a senator from South Carolina. That's not your job to be doing that. That's really, really weird. And we got another clip of him warmongering with Iran. Let's roll that one.
Chapter on the largest state sponsor of terrorism in modern history. We got a chance to end a threat to the state of Israel forever by replacing this regime with something better. And I do believe the biggest winner of the Ayatollah leaving would be the Iranian people. So pray for our troops in harm's way. There are risks associated with any operation. They join the military to keep their country safe and to make the world a better place. And taking on the Ayatollah does both. To our friends in Israel, we have your back. We're praying for success. You've tolerated too much too long, and to the world. You have normalized trying to kill the Jews. When Israel's attacked, nobody says a word about it. If France were attacked, what would the French do? What would we do? So the days of expecting Israel to sit on the sidelines and not go to the heart of the beast are over. Take this regime down, make the world a better place.
Well, they took themselves down. Donald Trump, yeah. I mean, God bless him. He's given them every opportunity. Look what he was able to pull off with India and Pakistan as that situation was heating up. Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and so the Trump administration has so far been pretty clear that they're not interested in getting us sucked into another regime change war. We saw Libya, what a success. We saw Iraq, we saw Afghanistan. If you ever feel useless, remember it took the U.S. government 20 years and trillions of dollars to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. I mean, he's probably right. The world would be better without the crazy mullahs over in Iran. But what do you think, Mark? I mean, should the American soldier, should the American taxpayer be engaged in policing the world, overthrowing governments, and all the rest of it?
Absolutely not. Only unless it's a threat to America.
Yep.
You know, Israel is blessed. It's a blessed nation. God's got his hand on that country.
Yep.
And they're doing mighty well on their own. And, you know, this has been a hard chessboard to navigate through, because there's not really many good answers with what do we do with this. But I appreciate Trump negotiating. He gave them 60 days to make a decision, probably another 10 up to 70 days. And we did pull off a great mission here. It doesn't mean that we've decided to send troops in. It means we just destroyed bases we understood that were too close to producing nuclear warheads and missiles that could travel across the seas and bomb other countries. And with that knowledge, we had to do the right thing. There's just no other answer. And so we had that capability that Israel didn't. And I think now it's time for us to sit back and see what else happens. And we've made the world realize again that Trump's in office. He'll do what he says. We're not playing around. And so we do have security through strength, but we're not about war. That's the last ditch effort, according to the Constitution, is for us to get into war. And it's only to be America first related.
Yeah, and that's something for Congress to declare. In fact, I was in Israel about a decade ago and had an opportunity to sit down with the deputy speaker of the Knesset, their parliament over there. And he was very much in favor of having the Israelis go strike the Iranian nuclear program. But what he said is, hey, we don't want American money. We don't need to be taking your money. And by the way, we're tired of your government telling us what to do. We ought to take care of our own security without having to run to Washington every other day to ask whether we have permission to do this, that, or the other. And I happen to agree with the man. Mark, what would you do as a U.S. Senator representing the state of South Carolina? I mean, what are some of the big things on your agenda to make the United States a better country, to get the Constitution enforced? What are some policies that you would be really passionate about?
Well, I'm definitely for closing the border. We've got our own problems right here at home, inside our homeland, with the invasion we've been under the last 10, 15 years with our enemies from Iran pouring across our borders into secret cells across the country. They've been here for years in training camps, and nothing's been done about that. We've got to get rid of the enemies within Congress that are of that regime, and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and people like that are in our government helping make laws, and they're, waving Palestinian flags when Israel's attacked on October 7th. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've got to start calling our enemies who they are, our enemies, and we've got to deal with those at home. The other thing I'm for 100% is true pro-life. Lindsey Graham just got acknowledged and endorsed by 3, I would call, partial life organizations that he received their endorsements because he was okay with murdering children inside the womb up to 15 weeks. And he voted for women in 9 states can receive an abortion up until the moment before delivery if they so choose. And that's as wicked as it gets right there. We've killed over 63 million unborn, unprotected children in our country. Hitler killed 6 million Jews. We've killed 63 million of our own. And so I want to see that end, and I'll do everything I can to bring that to a close.
Amen. It's so desperately needed. Now, you alluded to this earlier, Mark, but Lindsey Graham has suddenly become really conservative again, right? He's out on the campaign talking about how much he's going to serve the people of South Carolina, how much he wants the government smaller, how much he wants the Constitution enforced. Is this a real conversion, or is this just typical political rhetoric?
No, that's the repeat of history that we've seen through every cycle. He just started earlier this time because he's got a viable opponent. And it's time for him to go down.
So, Mark, a lot of established politicians who've been in office for a long time, they've got all the big donors, they've got all the connections, all the consultants. As you know, they're very hard to dislodge. Lindsey Graham, of course, is not really popular with conservatives, but do you think you have a real shot at taking him down?
Absolutely. Lindsey's just a man. God appoints those in authority and he removes them. And I think he's removing him this time because he's flushing, and I don't think he can stop it. He's given us a gift every day. There's something else he does all the time that's just making him look worse and worse and showing his true colors this time. And, I know Trump endorsed him, and we love Trump. We respect him. We're glad he's back and doing the job he's doing as our great commander-in-chief of this great nation here in America. But the voters across the country and in our state of South Carolina all said his endorsement won't save Lindsey this time.
Good. Yeah, I've been a little bit disappointed with some of the endorsements from Trump over the last few years. I mean, I'm very happy with a lot of what he's doing, but some of those endorsements coming from his lower level staff people, I think, are really questionable, to say the least. So we really wish you well, Mark. What's the best way for people to get involved in the campaign? How do they learn more? Obviously, your website, lynchforsenate.com, lynchforsenate.com. For the folks in South Carolina who want to get involved, and for the folks outside of South Carolina who want to learn more, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can go to our Twitter page, Mark Lynch, on Twitter, Lynch for Senate. And we have a link tree there that'll connect you to our Facebook information, our website, Instagram, everywhere we are. And, we win this on our knees in prayer. I appreciate everybody's prayer to bring back God first again in this country. That's what makes America great again. That's how this Constitution operates, with a godly, moral society in this great nation. That's what I stand for. That's our platform, to make God first again. And so pray for us. And of course, it takes money. We're committed to this thing. You know, our business has been successful. I've been blessed. My wife and I prayed, and we pushed $5 million of our own money into this campaign. I know Trump wants to see if you got skin in the game, and I do. And our polling's way up. We're looking great. And so God's showing us favor, and things are falling into place. And we just need everybody's support out there to take this opportunity to get rid of Lindsey Graham. And I'm your guy that can do it. And so we need your vote, your donations, your prayer, and sign up if you can help on our webpage and our Facebook page.
All right, folks, you heard it here. lynchforsenate.com if you want to learn more. Mark, I really appreciate your concluding words there, too. So important. We're never going to make America great again without inviting God back to this country, without repenting of the babies that have been slaughtered, the evil that unfortunately has overtaken so much of this country. So really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. We wish you well, and I hope we can get you back on with updates as you fight this really historic and very significant battle.
Yes, thank you, Alex. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, and you as well. All right, folks, that is all we have time for today on the Sentinel Report. But I do want to encourage you to go check out that website, lynchforsenate.com. You know, there are very few Republicans in the Senate who have been as consistently against the Constitution, the values and principles of the Founding Fathers, the biblical principles that underpin this country. There's a few others as well, but Lindsey Graham is really one of the top ones. And he's in a really conservative state. He's not in a purple state. He's in a red conservative state. So we have a real opportunity here to put a fighter in there and remove a neocon, a rhino, a warmonger. So if you're in South Carolina or care about this issue, go check it out, lynchforsenate.com. I'm Alex Newman. Thank you for tuning in to the Sentinel Report. We appreciate you so much. Until next week, thank you for watching. God bless you all.